Hey guys, welcome out to the range. Today I wanted to do a video to talk with you guys about the components that I've chosen to make up my 7.5-inch AR-15. This is a rifle that I assembled probably about 2 years ago now, and it is one that I've had 7.5s many times over my many years of training and owning AR-15s. Training in and owning AR-15s, and almost every time I've either been nagged so hard by somebody who wanted the one that I had that I sold it to them. In fact, one time on the spot, I was at a Thanksgiving Day shoot, and one of the guys there was so badly in need. I mean, he just believed that he had to have the AR-15 that I had, that he bought it on the spot. I mean, it was quite comical. The dude bought it on the spot. And anyways, typically speaking, when you shoot one of my guns, you get a sense that the gun has been made right. The gun doesn't beat you up. It's got a nice clean recoil impulse. And the weapon is usually very well balanced, because the choices that I make for my rifles yield very balanced rifles, in fact. So there you go. There's the fulcrum of this rifle is at the back of the mag well. If you're lucky, the fulcrum of a rifle will be somewhere around the front of the mag well. But the fulcrum of this one is actually at the back of the mag well. And no, a magazine does not change the fulcrum very much, as you can tell. Why is the fulcrum of a weapon so important? Because if you spend time holding this rifle on point, you spend time doing this for a long period of time, the gun begins to drag you down. So making good choices for your component choices yields a weapon that in the end is very well balanced. And what I was going for with this weapon was very good balance, not only in the weapon itself, but also in the recoil impulse. I gave some of that up when I chose the muzzle device that I went with. This is one of the Tier 1 Citizen comps, KOMP, that I made several years ago. They're all sold out now. I've thought about remaking them, but I need to go in a different route, because the guy that I worked with to originally make them, there were some deficits there. So I'm thinking about remaking this muzzle device, because I really like it. What it does is, in fact, we'll just begin here. What it does is it sends all the energy of the rifled explosive forces away from the shooter. As you can see, it has a very deep cone, and it acts like a massive target crown. And what it does is, in fact, you can see here from the cross sections, it gives you a predictable path for the explosive forces to go. It seems to be, it takes a 7.5-inch barreled rifle, which is a whole lot of misery to shoot, and it really tones it down dramatically. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So this was a crucial part. For this particular rifle, I kind of did a departure of the things that I normally do. This one does have an adjustable gas block in it. Why? Because I needed to control the ejection pattern of this rifle. What the ejection pattern of the rifle equates to is how much gas is running through the rifle, and how fast the bolt carrier group is disengaging and ejecting the casing. If your BCG is unlocking too fast, that means that the case is still under obturation, which is swollen in the chamber, and it's being extracted while it's still under pressure. So what you end up with is a casing that the BCG accelerates really fast, and the casing bounces off the deflector and tends to go like this. And you've seen a lot of rifles eject in this pattern, right? I've seen rifles that ejected so violently they actually bounced the casings off the handguard and actually flipped forward. Daniel Defense rifles of old used to do that. The most recent DD rifles that I've seen at classes, I watch the shooters very carefully, and I watch the ejection patterns, and they're actually really clean. And then I asked the guy, "Have you added anything to the rifle?" And he says, "No, it's a stock rifle." And I go, "Okay, interesting." So I guess Daniel Defense has finally toned their rifles down a little bit, which is nice, because for years the rifles were very unpleasant to shoot. They would really beat you hard. So it's nice to see that they've changed things. I chose a Bravo Company manufacturing 8-inch instead of 7-inch handguard. Why? Because I wanted as much of that barrel tucked inside the handguard as possible. I am the originator of the Spikes Tactical Compressor. The original compressor was this one that you see here, and the idea behind it was to tuck that. The original was an 8.3-inch barrel, and it was to tuck the entire barrel and muzzle device inside that handguard, so that when guys were in a stack and you accidentally made contact with the guy in front of you, you wouldn't burn them. Ironically, that's why I designed the comp out of aluminum rather than steel, because between the aluminum and the massive flutes that I had machined into this thing cools very rapidly. But what I wanted was the ability to have everything inside the handguard, so when you made contact with the guy in front of you, or when you made contact with the very front of your gun, you weren't burning yourself. The Spikes Tactical Compressor kind of went off in a direction that I didn't really care for, but the original design was meant to be very simple. So, as I was saying when I was rudely interrupted by my phone, Spikes Tactical went in a direction that I didn't really care for. It was their prerogative, because they're the ones, even though it was my idea, they're the ones who funded the idea, so it was basically their rifle. But I then again went back to the drawing board on the compressor idea, and guys, the compressor was really nothing more. It was actually born out of a .22 caliber suppressed rifle that was very, very short, with the integrated suppressor inside the handguard, and back then it was a Dental Defense handguard quad rail. And this is probably 2011, I think. I think it was 2010 or honestly, I can't remember. I think it was like 2010. So a lot of what exists today didn't even exist then. But I went back to the drawing board, and essentially what you're seeing here is what the original compressor was supposed to be. Very short, very lightweight. This rifle, as you see it, is 5 pounds 15 ounces, and that includes sling, steel, Mbus Pro sights from Magpul, INFORCE WML, Scalar Works low mount, Trigicon RMR 06, yeah, 06. Nickel boron bolt carrier group from AIM Surplus, Norgon Ambi Catch, Magpul Myad, excuse me, Magpul Myad, Mission First Tactical Minimalist Stock, BCM 8-inch handguard. I can't remember the name of the. Of the gas block. Guys, the reason that a lot of this stuff doesn't really stand out to me anymore is because I paid for all this stuff. I'm not a gun tuber. I don't get free stuff sent to me. I pay for everything. What I wanted, people ask me about the, actually I'll finish, BCM handguard panels. Now here's the question that people ask. Why do I choose KMR versus M-LOK handguards? The reason I like KMR is, ironically, it's because the handguard panels actually lock onto a KMR handguard. On an M-LOK, you can grab the edge of a panel and pull it right off. They just don't lock on very well. KMR panels do lock on. And then ladder panels from Magpul. And this is an Aero Precision lower receiver. I wouldn't recommend Aero Precision anymore. I'll tell you why in a second. Aero Precision upper receiver, no forward assist. Oh, no, I'm sorry, this is an Anderson manufacturing. No forward assist, no ejection port cover. This is the lightest. What I chose here were the lightest components that I could find that didn't require any kind of exotic alloys, because I didn't want to go down the road where stuff was like ridiculously expensive just to yield a lightweight rifle. And then this is an ALG Defense ACT trigger, excuse me a second. And then my safety selector is a Battle Arms Development ambidextrous safety selector, badass. And the actual the barrel section that goes through is nickel boron coated, and it's like butter, but it has a nice distinct stick when it locks in place. And then I've got a Seekins Precision billet mag catch, and I think I did say Seekins. The reason I like Seekins is, as a lefty, the Seekins, the Norgon Ambi catch is kind of a crucial component for a lefty, and the reason for that is when we're working with our rifles, our eyes can see what our rifle is doing. So when the rifle locks to the rear, our right eye is in alignment with the chamber and we can automatically see. Not to mention, we can even feel in darkness. to see what's going on with the rifle. Once you realize the rifle is merely empty, then you can drop your mag from here. Your next mag goes up and in, so basically the rifle would be locked to the rear. The mag would go up and in, push, pull, bolt forward with the index finger, the shooting finger, on the top of the ping pong paddle, and you're back on the gun. So instead of doing multiple tasks from two different sides of the gun, you're doing everything from one side of the gun with your shooting hand. So I've always said the AR-15s run better for lefties than they do for righties. So okay, so Aero Precision lower, Magpul MOE trigger guard, and this does make a difference if you're wearing gloves. And ALG Defense ACT trigger, which to me is probably the best trigger, the best bang for your buck. It is such a beautiful trigger. Just consistent pulls. All the creep of a military trigger is taken out with this trigger. It's just a really nice trigger. BCM Gunfighter Ambidextrous Charging Handle Mod 4B, because I'm a lefty, so I can get at it that way if I want. Like I said earlier, Magpul M-Bus Pros. Guys, when you put these on, you got to put them on with 30 inch-pounds. So if you don't have a fat wrench, you need to get one. Set the fat wrench for 30 inch-pounds and put Loctite on the screws. Lock those suckers in place. The Scalar Works mount, guys, believe it or not, it can come on and off, on and off, on and off. You're not going to lose your zero. But your sights better be locked on with Magpul, and they better be a consistent 30 inch-pounds, 30 inch-pounds. It matters, guys. Even with a 7.5, accuracy is there. It matters. Put the work in. And of course, the final piece is the Tier 1 Citizen 2-point bungee sling. And this one is set up with paracord on the front and just laced through the stock on the back. And the reason for that is it's very quiet. This does not make any noise. I wanted to have the quietest, lightest rifle that I could set up for carrying purposes. Not quietest because this sucker's loud. And in the final choice, typically speaking, this rifle has a 20-round PMag that I've painted, you know, Ranger Green. 20-round PMag. And keep in mind that a 20-round PMag will not allow you to go prone properly, because the 30-round creates enough standoff on the ground that you can get proper body position on the rifle for longer shots. So that's something you're going to give up if you go to a 20-rounder, but the reason a 20-rounder is a good idea for your initial mag is if you're doing vehicle ops or really, really close CQC with this weapon, then a 20-rounder is a better idea because it allows you to get that thing around really, really tight areas without that mag sticking out and potentially catching things. Because as you can see, it sticks out less than your pistol grip does. So this is a combination that really works well. As you guys have already seen, it travels really well. It falls into a very discreet MP5K bag, 5 pounds 15 ounces. So you can put on your travel backpack and your rifle case when you're going in and out of hotels for rifle classes, and it hides in plain sight. With the optic, the RMR 06, when you put the cover on it, the optic dials itself down to almost nothing. Oh, and also the other thing is, you can see right there, this is 823. That's when the next battery has to go. So one of the things that you can do for yourself is mark the top of your RMR with a Sharpie to let you know when the battery needs to go, and this one's going to have to go next month. But yeah, okay, so yeah, let me answer the question about Aero Precision. Aero Precision is what I used to build with, and I used to, guys, I have been the poster child for Aero Precision for years, and in the recent year or two, their quality's gone in the toilet, and I now flat out tell people avoid Aero Precision. Their stuff is such garbage. I've consistently had not just one or two, but multiple receivers that were really bad, and I have the photographs to prove it, and the chain of emails with their flunky customer service. So at one point, I ordered a bunch of receivers. They came to me. I worked with them. They had cracks on the Picatinny rails on top, so I sent them back. Guys, I would almost swear to you that they sent me the same freaking receivers back. I really wish I'd taken a bullet and put a little brass marking, or a little copper marking on the inside, so I could have identified if they were the same receivers. But guys, I would almost swear to you they sent me the same receivers back. Flunky customer service. Quality control has gone in the garbage. I hope that was just a fluke. I hope they've caught up and they've pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. But guys, for the time being, I'm avoiding anything Aero Precision until I see otherwise. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. The beauty of this channel is I'm not owned by anybody. Everything I do is out of pocket with your support, which leads me to the closing of this video. If you have any questions, if I've missed any, this is just a white label armory, QD sling mount at the back, so you can run single point on this if you want to, because this technically is a PDW. Actually, let me close with that. This is the Tier 1 Citizen 2-point sling. The PDW sling I would not advise for this weapon, because the bungee in the PDW sling is shorter than the bungee in the 2-point sling, and this weapon is heavier than a PDW is. So you're going to want to run a 2-point Tier 1 Citizen sling. If you want to run a PDW sling, make sure you're actually running a PDW. This is the Tier 1 Citizen PDW sling, and the bungee in here is shorter than the bungee in here. Even though this looks like the same amount of sling length, it's actually not. The length of sling on this, on the length of webbing that I choose for the PDW sling, is shorter than the length of webbing that I choose for making the 2-point sling. Why? Because this is a shorter weapon, this is a lighter weapon, so there's less bungee, there's less webbing. Because ultimately the equation ends up kind of feeling the same when it's on your person, because there's less scrunching up of the sling. So for those of you who think that you need to go PDW sling for this, don't. 2-point sling, PDW sling. Guys, don't shoot yourself in the foot because of money, because you're trying to save money. If you put this sling on this weapon, it'll short you. It'll leave you hanging. No pun intended. So as always, I thank you guys for your support. I thank you for your sling purchases. God bless you all. Get those guns out and practice. Have a good one.